Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome and thank you so much for tuning in. In today's video, we're going to be working with 15-ounce barrel tumblers, a 25-ounce barrel tumbler, a 32-ounce tapered tumbler, and a 12-ounce kids tumbler. The barrel tumblers and the tapered tumbler are from Maker Flow Crafts, and the 12-ounce kids tumbler is from Craft Haven. Now, I will have all of the products that I've used in this tutorial listed and linked for you in the description box. So if for some reason I failed to mention a particular item or color or where it was purchased, just know it will be listed for you in the description box. If for some reason I failed to list one, please feel free to leave me a comment if you have any questions on that particular item. Now, before we jump right in, I would like to say thank you for everyone's patience and understanding. I did not post a video last week, but as mentioned and as promised, there will be 2 videos this week. This will be video 1 of a 2-part tumbler tutorial. So do not miss the second video because at the end, I will show you a few other items that I worked on as well to coordinate with the tumblers that we're making here today. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get started. Now I've already sanded and wiped down my tumblers and I'm getting some measurements and marking lines because we are creating a football family lovers tumbler set. So I'm super excited for this, and I have been working on this for quite a while. Um, you know, when I first saw these tumblers, the first thing I thought of course, was football, but I thought of my daughter and son-in-law because they love to dress their little ones in football game day gear on the weekends. And my son-in-law is a Georgia Bulldogs fan. My daughter is a Tennessee Volunteers fan. So their little ones dress up in Georgia and Tennessee, and they're always coordinating. So I thought this would totally be something that my daughter would purchase from someone, if she saw it or whatever, so that the whole family can have coordinating cups on game day. So super cute idea. So that's what we're doing. We're creating football tumblers, and the tapered tumblers are going to be cheerleader megaphone tumblers. So super cute. I'm super excited. Now, as I mentioned, we are Tennessee Volunteer fans, but before you click off the tutorial and say, I don't like Tennessee Volunteers, this can be, of course, used for any team. You can make your own glitter colors, your own decals based on your team preference. So just let this be like a roadmap, kind of, a jumping off point, so to speak. So what I have been doing is, like I said, just getting some measurements because this first tumbler that we are going to be making is going to be half of a football and half of a football field. Now, I have seen video tutorials out there on this. I know this is, not anything new, but please stick around and watch the outcome because it turned out absolutely gorgeous. And the sparkle that was on this tumbler was just unbelievably beautiful and shiny. So I was super happy with how it turned out. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be painting one side brown and one side green, obviously for the field and the football. And so I'm just making sure that this tumbler is evenly halved before going out and painting it. Now I'm going to go ahead and tape up one side so while I'm painting one side, it's not getting overspray on the other. Once your tumbler is painted, you're going to want to remove your painter's tape and let that dry before painting the other side. And what I did was I just took a piece of copy paper and some tape and taped up the brown side while I painted the green side so as not to pull up any paint or anything like that. So once you have that done, then you're ready to go ahead. On this tumbler, we're going to be doing glitter. It's going to be a girly football tumbler, and then we're going to be making a boy football tumbler as well in the same size. So you can apply your glitter either the epoxy method, Mod Podge method, tack it method, however you wish. I applied my glitters with epoxy, and I'll show that a little later on in the video. I also taped up the bottom of this tumbler because we're going to be doing something a little different on this one. But if you wanted to leave it and have it the same color as your football and football field, you can. It's totally up to you. And here are the glitter colors that I used for my football. I just sort of mixed them all together and made my own brown color. And again, it turned out so beautiful and so sparkly. These are from the glitter grind. Now you can see the tumbler is all taped up and ready for the spray paint. And here we go. So here's the painted side of the tumbler, and we're just going to peel off that tape as I mentioned. And then again, it's ready for the opposite side. While that's drying, however, we're going to go ahead and move on to our next tumbler. And that is the 25-ounce barrel tumbler. This is painted orange. This one's also going to be half football and half something else, but it's not going to be a brown football. We're making it an orange football. And I sort of made this one for my husband and put things on the opposite side that he liked and he wanted. But again, this can be utilized for any team that you wish. So I'm just, again, marking the fattest portion of my tumbler so I can get my measurements for my football laces. There are several SVG files out there for football laces and whatnot. However, I drew and made my own football laces and stripes for the football. So I won't be able to tell you, that I got this cut file at such and such place because I made my own for this one. And I'm just using my guide here from the Amy's Make Everything to sort of make my line up and down the tumbler so I can appropriately place my football laces. And also, let me back up a little bit. After I painted the tumbler, because we are not going to be putting any glitter on this tumbler, you want to make sure you have a really good paint adherence. You don't want any drips. You don't want any lines. You don't want any dust or debris in there. You don't want any bare spots. You really want it to have really good coverage because, again, we're not adding glitter, so there's not going to be anything to sort of mask any defects. So I knew I was going to be adding I knew I was going to be adding vinyl to the tumbler. So I did go ahead and place one thin coat of epoxy on top of the paint just to make sure that when I apply my vinyl, if for some reason I have to pull the vinyl up, it doesn't mess up my paint. So this has approximately 20 milliliters of epoxy. I know it's a 25-ounce tumbler, but because we don't have any kind of glitter or anything on there other than paint, 20 milliliters was fine. And again, I wanted a thin coat anyway, so I did that for both this tumbler and the football tumbler that we're going to be looking at next. And so here's the other 15-ounce barrel tumbler. This is the one that's not going to have any glitter. So again, after I painted it brown, I did go ahead and apply a thin coat of epoxy, and I believe I added 10 milliliters of epoxy on this tumbler. Now, my tumblers were smooth after the one layer of epoxy, but if for some reason your tumbler is not smooth, go ahead and apply another coat of epoxy until it is smooth, so that when you add your vinyl, there's no lumps or bumps or fisheyes underneath the vinyl, because it will show through. Um, Now, again, sometimes you can get by with it, but I just would go ahead and add enough epoxy to make it smooth so that you don't have to go back and redo anything later. So now we're going to go ahead and move on to the megaphone tumblers. And I just spray painted both of them white, and again added a mixture of glitters. I wanted it to be sparkly, but not overly sparkly. So, like, for example, I have a glitter that is called Diamonds, and it's my favorite white glitter. It is super, super sparkly. I did not use that one, however, because I wanted it to be very reminiscent of a megaphone, but I did want a little sparkle. So I just mixed some different white glitters and again used the epoxy method to apply the glitter. Now, when you're adding epoxy to the tumbler to apply glitter, you want to be sure there's a little bit of resistance when you're placing your epoxy on the tumbler, but you also want to make sure you have enough on there to hold the glitter. Um, Once I apply my epoxy to the tumbler, I do go ahead and kind of pat it down with my hand, and I will go in an up and down motion with my hand on the tumbler to just sort of cause it to be a little bit more textured and sticky so that the glitter can really adhere to it. And so while those are curing, we're going to go ahead and go back. I did not show the painting of the green side of the two-sided football tumbler, but we're applying the green glitter. And again, this is just a mixture of glitters that I have. And I will have those all listed for you below if you want to use the same mixture. As far as the ratios, I tried to keep track of it and write it down, but I mean, each little section of glitter that I would pour, it would be less than a milliliter. It wouldn't even really register on my scale to know how much I used. So, you can just make your own mixture of glitter. Um, and you can see I've already applied the brown glitter to this tumbler. I'm not sure where that footage went to, but at any rate, you can see what I'm talking about here, how I'm going up and down with my fingers on the tumbler to just sort of cause that epoxy to have some texture so that it really holds the glitter. So you can either wait for one side to cure before adding the other side. I did not. And so I just was very careful about when I got close to the brown section, I just was really careful, trying not to have any kind of glitter transfer because we really want each side to stand alone as what it's supposed to be. So I did go back after I added the green and I just put a little bit more brown where I thought maybe the green had transferred over into, and vice versa. So just sort of went back and forth just to make sure that each side stood for its own color and didn't have any transfer. Once that has cured, you're ready to go ahead and add a coat of epoxy. I wound up adding 20 milliliters of epoxy to the glitter tumbler, and now I'm ready for the vinyl. I did wind up having to trim some of it because based this sizing of vinyl off of the brown football tumbler that I did earlier and failed to realize that um, since I was doing a half and half on this one, that it needed to be a little bit smaller. So I'm just trimming it off and it turned out fine. So no big deal. Unfortunately, we need to stop here for today. Part 2 of this tutorial will post on Friday. So not tomorrow, but Friday. So please come back to watch to see how these tumblers turn out. You will not be disappointed. They are super cute, super fun, and also, as I mentioned, there will also be some other items that I have made to go with this set, to coordinate with this set, and you don't want to miss that either. So thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure to come back on Friday and check out part 2 of this tutorial. I appreciate everyone for watching, and I hope everyone has a blessed day.